The Scottsboro Boys, the Outsiders, and the McMuffin are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 25th, 2021. It is the 84th day of the year. We got 281 days left. It is the 13th week and the 6th day of spring. 88 days left until summer. If today's your birthday, your birthstone is still an aquamarine, a bloodstone, or a jade. I don't know why there's different ones. I've looked it up 3 different times, probably more than that, and I just don't know why they've got different ones. Used to be just one. What's going on in the world? It's crazy. Anyway, today is International Waffle Day. International Waffle Day began as a celebration in Sweden, but soon spread to many other countries in Europe and other continents as well, like here in the United States. Historians believe that versions of the waffle have been around for over 8,000 years. What the who? I wonder if they had chocolate chip waffles back then. Who knows? However, it wasn't until 1725 when the waffle first appeared in cookbooks. International Waffle Day is observed annually on March 25th. All right, let's see what else March 25th has given us. 1865, the American Civil War. In Virginia, Confederate forces temporarily capture Fort Stedman from the Union. Yeah, it was brief, but they held on to it. 1931, the Scottsboro Boys are arrested in Alabama and charged with the unlawful use of another human being's body. I can't say what it is because I'll get demonetized, but you can imagine what I'm talking about. The Scottsboro Boys were 9 African-American teenagers between the ages of 12 and 19. They are accused of the unlawful use of 2 white women's bodies in 1931. The landmark set of legal cases from this incident dealt with racism and the right to a fair trial. The cases included a lynch mob before the suspects had been indicted, all-white juries rushed to trial, and disruptive mob during the trial. It is commonly cited as a perfect example of a miscarriage of justice in the United States legal system. This really was a disgrace. On March 25th, the 9 African-American boys jumped a train. They called it hoboing back in the day. Basically, you get on a train without a ticket and sit on the roof or something. The boys were traveling from Memphis to Chattanooga. Chattanooga isn't too far from Scottsboro, Alabama, and apparently this happened near Scottsboro. While on the train, a group of white teenage boys attempted to throw the Scottsboro Boys off the train. It didn't work. The white boys got thrown off instead. So after landing on the ground, they went to the local sheriff and reported they'd been attacked by the boys on the train. A few girls got off the train and said they were attacked as well in the most unpleasant way. Like I said, I can't say what happened to the girls because it'll get me demonetized. Use your imagination. Anyway, the sheriff was able to catch up with the train and arrest the boys. They had a farce of a trial, and all but 13-year-old Roy Wright were convicted of attacking the girls and sentenced to death. This was a common sentence back in the day in Alabama when a black man attacked a white woman. The case was taken to the Alabama Supreme Court and eventually to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court forced the state to have a retrial and actually attempt to make it a fair trial. It didn't happen. The girls came out and recanted their story. They explained how it was totally fabricated and it never happened. They'd never even seen the boys on the train. The Alabama jury still convicted them of attacking the girls. Yeah, the 8 convicted defendants were assembled on April 9th, 1931 and sentenced to death by the electric chair. While appeals were filed, the Alabama Supreme Court issued an indefinite stay of execution 72 hours before the defendants were scheduled to die. The case went on for years, going back and forth to different courts, and eventually they all went to prison, and most got out in the mid to late 40s after being sentenced to like 105 years. Couldn't put them to death, so we'll put them in jail for 105 years. Things changed, and they all got paroled mid to late 40s. Now, they all went on to live somewhat normal lives, and, good things happen to them, bad things happen. One of the boys, Clarence Norris, got out in 1946. He jumped bail. He was captured in Brooklyn, New York in 1976. The then governor of Alabama, George Wallace, pardoned him, saying that he was never guilty in the first place. 1941, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia joins the Axis powers with the signing of the Tripartite Pact. I think that's how you pronounce it. 1948, the first successful tornado forecast predicts a tornado that will strike Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. It struck Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. They were right. 1957, the United States Customs Enforcement seizes copies of Allen Ginsberg's poem, How, on obscenity grounds. 1969, during their honeymoon, John Lennon and Yoko Ono hold the first bed-in for peace at the Amsterdam Hilton Hotel. They stayed in bed till March 31st. 2006, the Capitol Hill Massacre. A gunman kills 6 people before taking his own life at a party in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. Yeah, I remember that happened. That sucked. Much of that goes on these days. Movies released on March 25th, 1983, The Outsiders is released. One of the greatest movies of my childhood. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the film follows a rivalry between two gangs, the Greasers, which were the low-budget dudes, and the Socias, which stood for socialites, and they were the rich people. This movie had everyone that was big in the 1980s. Tom Cruise, Ralph Macchio, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Matt Dillon, C. Thomas Howell, Emilio Estevez, Diane Lane, Leif Garrett. It even had Tom Waits in there. It was a great movie. I think I've probably watched it 4 or 5 times in my life. Born on March 25th, 1982, Danica Patrick, American race car driver. I was always impressed by her. She was like the first, well, there was Shirley Mulvaney who did drag racing back in the 70s, but Danica Patrick was the first mainstream, legit race car driver. She was born in 1982. Died on March 25th, 2008. We lost a great man, Herb Peterson. Probably never heard of him. He's an American businessman. He created the Egg McMuffin. Yeah, that's right. He created it, and now he's gone. I don't know what we're going to do for future breakfast foods with Herb being gone and all that, but I love the Egg McMuffin. So much so, I own a pig that I've named McMuffin. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go forth, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.